Hello and welcome, fellow Wasteland survivors. I'm Dean. Thanks for stopping in, hanging out with me, because in today's video we're going to be taking a look at our most recent settlement build, Matt's Magical Machine. This settlement build was suggested to us by our good friend Bayside Rogue, aka Matt. He had asked if there was something that we could do or build using the Baltrack system. So we sat down, we thought about it, and we decided to build a Baltrack settlement, and the Baltracks would actually power all of the power needs of the settlement. So let's get going and see how this works. Now, the idea that we have is to be able to light our settlement by doing it two different ways. The first way would be to flip on a main power switch, and once we do, the settlement would have power and all the lighting would be on, including the water purifier. Now, the second way that we would do this would be to actually connect the on and off Baltrack switches to power, and then connect those switches to all of the systems and the lighting in our settlement. So the idea is to get at least one of those switches on at all times. And with that, we would be able to flow a constant stream of power into our settlement and run all of the systems, including the water purifier. The main power switch, which is located below, is sending power up here to these two pylon switches. This one on the right is on, but the switch is not. It's also connected to this one on the left, and as soon as we turn it on, it does activate all of our Baltrack switches. This is where the power will go into the switches, and then once the switch has been activated, it will send an electrical signal or pulse into our settlement. And once we get enough of those on at one time, we'll have a steady stream of power going into our settlement. Also, we can notice that that switch has not affected any of the lighting in our settlement. Now, the very first pylon switch is actually our starter. Once we turn this on, the two blue-green switches become active, and they're ready to start powering up our system. Now, once we turn the first one on the right on, that's how our lighting goes off, because it's connected to a NAND logic gate. Also, they're connected to all the conveyor belts and everything that will run all of the balls back up to the top of the settlement so that they can flow down the track again. And here we can see this conveyor belt is on, and that lets us know that that switch is working fine. Now, the second switch that's on the left, once we turn it on, it is connected to a hopper. The hopper is what allows the balls to drop out evenly onto the track so that we don't get any jamming issues. Now that that's active and the balls are flowing down the track, we can see that the lights or the Baltrack switches are working. And every one of these small light boxes on the right and the left are connected to different switches in our settlement. Once these have start coming on and that light that's in the center is solid, we know that we have a solid constant stream of power flowing into our settlement. And here we can see it with all of the lighting off and the Baltrack system working. We've also connected cycling lights to numerous Baltrack switches so that we can see some of them coming on and off as it's working. Also, if you notice, our water purifier is on as well. Now let's go up to the top of our settlement and see the very beginning part of the journey of these metal balls as they make their way down to the very bottom of the settlement. Now that it's been about 20 seconds since we turned our system on, all of our ball track switches are working smoothly, and at least one switch at any given time is on. And we do have a constant flow of power coming through our system. Now we can actually shut our starter off. And even though that was powering those two blue-green switches in the beginning, we no longer need it to turn those switches on. Because we do have a solid stream of power coming in from the switches of the ball track, they will power those switches from here on out. The first switch on the right runs our conveyor belts, and the blue-green switch on the left is what's actually powering our hopper at the very top. Now we can also see that if we shut our switch off that powers our ball track switches, our system does go off. And that is because there is no more power from anywhere going into the system. It is now running itself through the ball track switches. Now let's take another quick look at it with all of the lighting on so that we can once again see the journey of these metal balls from the top of the settlement all the way down to the bottom. this settlement has actually been running for most of the night and a good part of the morning. It's time to go ahead and shut it down. But once again, I'd like to show everybody that if we turn off the power going to our ball track switches, it will shut itself down. We cannot do that yet, because if we did, all of the balls would just pile up at the bottom because there's no power to take them back up the conveyors to the very top. So the first thing we have to do is turn our hopper off that's at the top of our settlement. By turning it off, now it will no longer let balls drop back down onto the track. And as we can see as time goes by, we are getting less and less lights lighting up on the little light boxes that are on the right and left hand side. And eventually it's going to start shutting down, and our big light box in the middle will actually go off periodically. Once that does, we have to turn our starter back on, so that way our conveyor belt system will continue to take all of the balls back to the top of the settlement and deposit them into the hopper. If we didn't do this, once again, all of our balls would just pile up at the bottom. And we'll go up on top and take a look as the very last balls are entering into the hopper. Once all of our balls have entered back into the hopper, we can actually go back down and shut the entire rest of the system off. And once we do that, our main power switch will keep the lighting and the water purifier running. Now that it's all finished, we can shut the power to our ball tracks off and to our conveyors. Also, we can go ahead and shut our starter down. And once again, all of our settlement lighting and water purifier is working on its own power coming from the generator. Well, Matt, my friend, I hope you enjoyed it. We really had a lot of fun working on this as a community over a few nights of streaming. And I think we're going to go ahead and call this one a win. It's working pretty much perfectly, with the exception of every now and then on startup, a couple of balls do pop out as they're leaving the hopper. But overall, it's working flawlessly. We've got a steady stream of power flowing into the settlement. We did manage to get the settlement to stay on for quite a long time. And the only reason it shut down is because we shut it down. Alright everybody, thank you very much for stopping in, hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on the next video. And just like always, until next time, please stay safe and peace.